Hello and Happy New Year. Thank you for joining me today for this important and timely discussion about lifetime learning. My name is Scarlett Howery, and I'm Vice President of Campus and University Partnerships for DeVry University. And I'm honored to host what I am sure is going to be an enriching discussion with two very dynamic leaders that bring both their personal stories and experiences as leaders of their respective organizations. As we start a new year, there are many people out there who have made resolutions to start, continue, finish a degree, training, or some other form of learning. And I hope this discussion today serves as motivation to just do it. If you have questions throughout the discussion, we invite you to type them in the chat. But let me start first by introducing my guest. I have Guylaine Saint Juste. Guylaine became the president and chief executive officer of NABA on February 1st of 2021. She serves as a corporate officer on the board of directors with primary oversight for executing the multi-year NABA strategic plan. Guylaine joins NABA from Year Up, a nonprofit organization that provides students of colors the opportunity to experience careers in business and technology, where she serves as managing director, employer, of influence strategy for the last 5 years. Guylaine is the founder and co-chair of George Mason Women in Business Initiatives, the Women Alliance for Financial Education, and has served on many nonprofit boards. Welcome, Guylaine.
Thank you for having me. So thrilled to have this opportunity to share with you.
So glad to have you here. We also have Michelle Vernuccio, who is the president of the North Jersey Chamber of Commerce, where she applies her marketing, her digital marketing, branding, and organizational skills to over 950 businesses as part of their membership. Michelle also serves as an adjunct professor at Montclair State University, where she mentors students of communication and media. In her spare time, she obviously, like many of us, enjoys cooking, reading, spending time with her family, the arts, and volunteering her time at her local parish. Michelle has a BA in Communication Studies and a concentration in Public Relations, and is wrapping up her MBA with a concentration in Marketing from DeVry University's Keller Graduate School of Management. Welcome, Michelle.
Thanks for having me.
We're so glad to have you both. So as you all know, lifetime learning is the ongoing process in which you continue to educate yourself and to build your new skills over time. Michelle, we'll start with you. Can you share a little bit about your personal journey with lifelong learning and how it has impacted how you lead at the North Jersey Chamber of Commerce?
So lifelong learning for me started after 17 years of obtaining a bachelor's degree. And I knew through talks in the field of communication studies that it wasn't imperative at the time to, go for your master's right after. And I've always been a curious leader. And so I wanted to delve into the field and work for some dynamic organizations and learn so much. And then my bucket list changed after all these years. And I realized after leading the North Jersey Chamber of Commerce for 4.5 years, this year, is that we need to extend our opportunity to learn and the resources that are available to us. And I practiced what I preach to our members. And I said, you know what? I think I'm ready to prove the world a little bit more than I've proven now, and not only to the world, but to myself and my family and my friends, and of course, my colleagues. So I decided to go back, and 2.5 years later, I'm so excited that I'm almost done with my master's, with my MBA with a concentration in marketing. And I've had a dynamic 2.5 years of learning not only material, but really re-engaging in today's world. Think about how the world has gone digital. And so, back then I remember seeing mentors and teachers reading the New York Times. And so my experience at DeVry University through obtaining my MBA has been opening up that New York Times magazine or that New York Times newspaper, and being able to re-engage and be up to par with the many things that are taking place in the world today through digital learning, through the world that we live in business, and most importantly, being able to acknowledge and learn and experience what's going on with, with millions of multinational companies that I've had the opportunity to work in group projects with throughout all of my courses here at DeVry. But it definitely has been quite a journey. And I am so thrilled I don't have to wait until I get that degree or that certificate. I'm applying what I'm learning, right, and the resources today, every day throughout the members of the North Jersey Chamber.
Yeah, thank you for, I think what really is a profound response to that question that you shared, not only some of those traditional ways of earning an education, through the degrees and all of that additional education that you're looking to get for yourself, but also those non-traditional ways of just lifelong learning, just turning to the local newspaper and keeping yourself abreast to what's happening throughout the world and within other industries and current industries. So that is such a great way of ensuring that you keep yourself focused on continuous learning. Guylaine, in the same vein, how have you incorporated lifelong learning into your professional life?
So here's what I will say. Happy New Year, everybody. I know that you've received many, many good wishes. May I wish on you the gift of curiosity. Stay curious, and if you stay curious, you're committed to lifetime learning. Learn from the world around you, the people around you, things happening. And I'm going to compliment what Michelle shared, that I think a lot of times we think about learning as a technical skills, as a thing that we need to learn. I want to encourage everybody listening to think about learning about yourself, learning about what makes you tick, learning about what you see as your purpose. You were created for a purpose. So what might that purpose be? What might the mark that you want to live in the world look like? I was most influenced in my life by my maternal grandmother, who always said, leave it a little bit better than you found it. Leave it a little bit better than you found it. So I really do believe that when we start from that premise, learning follows, because everything that happens in life is an opportunity to learn. Learn something about yourself, learn about the world, learn about the people that you thought you knew best, and continuously engaging with the spirit of curiosity, of openness. And as we do that, we often are able to see opportunities where we only saw obstacles. And from there, the skills that are so important for us to not only survive, but to thrive in what we know are going to be 3 years of systematic and accelerated growth, right? Challenges, whatever you want to name it. I mean, who would have thought that just a short 2 years ago, we would be making hybrid work like the norm, working from home to be the norm. And I don't want anybody to lose the fact that we've all had to learn to master the pajama pants with jackets, right? We all have had to learn how to rock that new fashion statement, right? We all have had to learn how to raise kids, teach kids. We've all become teachers in a certain way and manage multiple priorities at once. We've heard the word about resilience coming up a lot. And now the other side of it, the idea of self-care, of living a life, a wholesome life. All these things are also learning that I encourage everyone to deep in and delve in and to realize that learning is fun. It's really fun to learn. And I'll share just a quick little story, if I may, that may engage in us having a good time, right? As we were preparing for this, we didn't want you all to be looking at 3 women and having a staunch conversation. We all 3 believe in laughing. So Michelle, I'm going to ask for your permission to share with you. You will hear us use the word badass. We're all badass women. And that's Michelle's thing. I say, that I like to be around kick-ass people. So every one of you that have logged in today, you're all kick-ass people. And so I'll share a little quick story. It has been said that Einstein Marvell at the fact that from the time we're born to the time we hit 3 years old, we learn a lot. That's the fastest growth process in human development. Those of you who have PhD probably know that and can help me say it right. And we do a lot of that learning to play. Those of us who have kids, who've been around kids, we even know that the idea of peekaboo, when we do peekaboo, we're teaching a child to say that even when you don't see me, I'm coming back anyway. And to give a child the sense of assurance that even when I leave you at daycare or whatever, I'm coming back. We're learning to trust. But then once we hit first grade, the knowledge and the vernacular of education, we say, well, now you're a big person now, you're going to first grade, now it's serious, as if now we're saying there's no more playing because now learning has become serious. And I'm determined that part of what I want to impart today and in my life is that learning, we're supposed to continue to have fun and to learn to play and to learn through having fun. So then it doesn't seem so daunting and we can really appreciate what Michelle is sharing, that 13 years outside of a bachelor's degree, she leveraged a wonderful platform called DeVry University to spend her time having fun and learning and combining work and learning and play and so on to almost get to her MBA. And I know, like me, you can't wait to hear that she's completed so we can cheer her on. So welcome. We're so glad you decided to join us and we look forward to engaging you. So please continue to drop your questions in the chat window. It is more important that we hear from you and learn with you and engage with you to make this a truly vibrant and, as I like to say it, fierce conversation. So Scarlett, thank you for being such an extraordinary facilitator. I'm turning it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Guylaine. I think in all of these discussions, anytime we have these LinkedIn Live conversations, there's always that belief that there's something that you should take away from every moment that you spend in these types of conversations. So I wrote down two from what Guylaine just said. And I think the first one is around staying curious. I don't know that there's a higher form of being conscious than being curious, right? To know what's happening around you and what's happening for you or to you or, what others are doing. So I think stay curious is a big one. If you're going to put that on your vision board, that's probably a good one to have there. The other one is around finding your purpose. I think part of lifetime and lifelong learning is about finding your purpose, right? We're always on that quest, on that journey to know where we belong and where we can make the best impact on others. So if there's nothing else, write those two down as really kind of your mission for this first part of this new 2022. So for either of my guests, we already have brought up the fact that things have changed so significantly in the last 2 years. Who would have thought that we would have a pandemic that has changed the way that we access learning and the way that we access each other? But it's happened. How has it impacted your members and your learning options at your organization, all that has been COVID, and the way that we now access learning? For either of you, whoever'd like to start.
Sure, I'll take it.
Great.
So I think the biggest P word that we were probably all over 18 months ago was the word pivot, and I mentioned earlier, we definitely practice what we preach here at the North Jersey Chamber. And so all businesses, all members forced to pivot. And, my favorite saying is we have to learn to feel uncomfortable in order to feel comfortable in our success. And so as we brought into, our membership virtual events, immediately signed on with a Zoom, immediately, we're reaching out to our members and providing them all these wonderful virtual events. And, we said to ourselves, how are we going to be different in pivoting and while, we want to provide our members? And so we did what we had to do. And we had to do it with fear and, of course, determination. And something Guylaine had mentioned earlier was learn to play. So I'll share a quick funny story. Every year, the North Jersey Chamber hosts International Women's Day. It's this big conference that we have. And we were lucky enough to have it back in, I don't even know what year we're in anymore, but back in 2020 was our last time that we had the event in person. And so last year, wanted to have the event and we had to pivot and have it virtually. And so we learned to play. We're like, oh, geez, we can't do it on Zoom. And we did some research and found these wonderful platforms. And our mission was to execute the conference in a way that people or our guests did not feel that they were behind their computer attending another Zoom meeting, right? I think everyone at that point was pretty much over the Hollywood squares. So we delved into this program called Hop In, which had a stage and we had a DJ and we had a virtual bingo, and we tried to make it as fun as possible because we took into consideration that our members really had to learn to feel uncomfortable in order to feel comfortable. And it was our duty to make them feel comfortable in that stage that their business was taking. And so we are continuously offering our members the opportunity and really the guidance in whatever that we are offering them. And with International Women's Day, we took the extra time to, set up some virtual platforms and virtual meetings and created different types of videos and whatnot. But in the same sense, we were learning. We were learning to play and have fun because at the end of the day, we are all in this together. And really the success of anything that we are bound to take part of really equals from our dreams, our fears, and just doing it anyway. That's how we learn.
Thank you, Michelle. Guylaine, how about you?
So I want to take another P word that Michelle started. It's amazing how we feed off of each other when we are present and curious and open. And it's the word platform. I think that we have taken the virtual space, either, I'm not quite sure if we've taken it for granted, or I love the word that Scarlett just used, that we were not aware of the power of our platform. And we had to stay focused on the idea of platforms for multiple reasons. Number one is when I took over my role, I realized really quickly that what a platform offers us is an opportunity to convene. Because when we can't convene in person, as is the natural, normal, communal way in which people convene, that we needed to have the platform being the number one pillar of our strategy. And to Michelle's point, platform meant to us, how do we continue to engage? Particularly, you can imagine as an association, our number one bread and butter to generate revenue is our convention, which as a Black organization, we like to have in person, lots of fun, lots of speakers, lots of debate. But at the end of the day, we had to figure out how to do that on a platform. And as Michelle talked about, I don't want to be redundant on the points, Zoom wasn't going to host it, so we had to figure out new ways to do it. We had to learn a lot. I will share a secret, is that I am still the girl that likes to take certification tests with pen and paper. Yeah, that technology business is still someplace I'm learning in. And my executive coach pushed me to really stay with the team in learning that part of the technology. Boy, did I learn, because I became intrinsically aware that while we were quarantining, while we're taking care, like managing those priorities, never before do we realize that we cannot do this alone. We cannot do this alone. We were not wired to do this alone. And that platforms allowed us to stay connected and to find ways to support each other and to continue to create the village, the community, in ways we stay connected. Lastly, I will share a story that is very near and dear to my heart. I think we think about a lot all the reasons and the things that my 25-year-old daughter, now I cannot believe that Jessica's 25, calls the virus Miss Rona. That's how we make fun of things, right? And Miss Rona just came striding into town. She wasn't invited, and somewhere her children and grandchildren of Delta and Omicron continue to like populate, our lives. And so it is a real thing. And we talk about all the reasons why they've been disruptive and damaging and so on. And for me, as a Black woman executive, I am thankful for Ms. Rona, because never in the consciousness of this country would this racial awakening happen if we were not all sort of fixated in a place having access to a platform called cable TV that reported all of the events that made people gasp and say, this is not us as Americans. And you'll probably think you're not thinking about what I'm thinking about. I'm talking about in particular in platform about what I've called and dubbed Cooper versus Cooper. Think about this. Right in the middle of Central Park in New York City, we know what happened to a bird watcher and somebody walking a dog. But you know what was fascinating? Is that Twitter brought it to us. And it is the amplification of this platform called Twitter that brought this to us. And most importantly, the grace that Mr. Cooper extended. And the beauty of that grace. And how that occurred on this platform called Twitter. And the power of platforms. And all that we've been able to learn as a result of it. I don't know about you, but this has been really fascinating for me to watch, to see, and clearly because of the work that I do at the service of social justice, paving and pathing a more just world, being a part of it has certainly opened up my appetite to continue to learn.
Thank you, Guylaine and Michelle, both of you on that topic. It made me think just really quickly about when I think about lifelong learning and the information that you both just shared about your individual organizations, that just being a part of organizations like this, membership organizations, industry organizations, chambers of commerce, are the best opportunity for someone to get those lifelong learning experiences. So I'm not here to promote your organizations, but I do think the entire act of being a part, to being a bigger part and finding your purpose within these larger organizations truly is one way to bring that and make that a part of your professional life and your personal life as well. So I just appreciate you amplifying that discussion here today so far. This next question.
Scarlett, can I interrupt gently in the spirit of Kickass Women? Let us also say I'm fascinated, and I'm a big fan of DeVry, and so thank you for the partnership that we are articulating together, but I'm a big fan also of the idea of saying that what DeVry is trying to do is to lower the barrier of entry for people to be able to learn.
Yes.
Right, and it is those combination. It is the opportunities to say, yes, I can be part of this professional association that then allows me a platform, right, a springboard to connect and to rethink my assumptions.
Yeah.
Right, to rethink my assumptions and to realize that DeVry is a great platform for people to have access to a library of topics, even if it starts with the first course. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but just to also, inclusivity for me means all voices matter and we need to all be supportive of each other. So I wanted to name that as well.
Thank you, Guylaine. So there are many forms, as you both know, we just talked about it, many forms of lifetime learning, including earning the degree or the certificate, which is, we know, formal education. And important, absolutely, when we're looking to adjust and change our careers and maybe to break into a new field. But there's also other forms of learning that include picking up a hobby or reading a book. Can you tell us about the types of lifelong learning that have been most effective for you in each of those maybe stages of your career?
So I'll start that one, Michelle, if you're okay with it.
Absolutely.
I am an avid reader. I'll just self-profess. At any given time on my night table, once a week, my husband will say to me, which one are you reading? Because the other one's got to go back on the bookshelf because it starts to pile on, right? And read all kinds of things. Articles, newspaper, on purpose, I tell people I've signed up for McKinsey, the CLA newsletter, Deloitte, NSCD, tons of different things. And even it's because it is a feed on my inbox all the time that reminds me to pause. Even if I read sort of the executive summary and something may pique my interest to like sort of open up the article and read a little bit. But I think that's a way to infuse constant learning. And I love the word you shared, Scarlett, constant awareness, because the world is moving at an incredible pace. And in that awareness, and in that constant reading, and in setting up systems or procedures, whatever you want to call it, so that you are constantly thinking and constantly reading, I encourage everybody to think about a lot that is happening. If there's something that's really happening to COVID, is realize that we do not do well alone as individual, but that we cannot also practice isolation as a policy in our country and in our lives. And that's so much that is happening across the world impacts the the choices that we get to make every day, and how rich it is to at least be aware, to at least be thinking about it, and to pique your interest about the different things that you're trying to learn. So that's what I do. Michelle, to you.
Yeah. So it's funny that you asked this question, because I guess you could say I'm doing it now through completing my MBA, but I'm very huge on public survey. And so I've asked a lot of the members, how do you feel about extending your lifelong learning experience, learning something new, right? COVID has proven to us that, what we are doing now can never be enough. And sometimes we are forced to learn new things because of the way that business is trending. And digital marketing has a huge part in lifelong learning experiences. But back to what I was saying, I did a quick survey to the members, and they said, we'd love to go back to school, but sometimes we say to ourselves, can we physically go back and pick up a book or do homework or do discussions? And I share my experience at DeVry. And I love all the courses and the experience of the MBA program. But most importantly, what I'm enjoying the most is participating in different types of projects and taking the material that we're learning and, putting it physically into, a company and reevaluating, right? And taking the materials and putting them really into actions. And if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm always like the team leader in all the 14 courses I've taken so far. But I really have enjoyed learning on how to accept and adapt to different cultures, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's just job cultures and status, who in your group may be, a parent who is, completing their degree and also, working another job, or who's working full time and a weekend job and also, completing their degree. So really learning to adapt and work with different types of cultures has truly made me appreciate diversity and really inclusion and all about relationship building. But along with that, what's also been most effective is that we've seen podcasts, radio podcasts, video podcasts, right? Come more to life. I feel like everyone is starting a podcast,
Yeah.
which is great. And I also feel that we are learning through this, through conversations with others and learning about their experiencing and what they're learning. And sometimes, lifetime learning doesn't necessarily mean, like you said, you have to go earn a degree or a certificate. But like you said, Scarlett, it could be picking up a hobby or reading a book or, just learning something to learn. So I feel that attending different audio podcasts or radio podcasts, whether you're a visual or you just like, to listen or pick up a book, you're always learning from other people's experience, not based on their opinion of something, but based on their experience. And those to us are really the biggest takeaways as we offer members of the chamber an opportunity to be the best that they can be through career professional development workshops that DeVry offers to our members. And lots of topics have been shared, such as time management, customer service, right? Building a business plan. In whatever industry that we're in, those are all important topics that we will take away with us, whether it's in our current position or a future position. But what is gained the most is when everyone shares, and those are sometimes the biggest takeaways. So again, if you keep waiting for the right time to learn something, you're living the wrong life. So just do it, like Nike says.
I love it, Michelle. And I think you gave some really great examples of of different types of lifelong learning opportunities. So you mentioned podcasts, career development workshops that you can be in. Just listening to these sort of conversations, all of them you can glean from them so many different things that can help you in your career or maybe in your industry as you move along. So we are about a little bit more than halfway through this discussion. And I just want to remind those out there that are listening and viewing us that if you do have questions, we would love for you to share those in the chat. We want to get your feedback and we want to make sure that our guests have the opportunity to answer any questions you might have around lifelong learning. So as I move into my next question, this is really about advice. I mean, each of you have had lives that have truly helped to impact not only your own families in your own careers, but obviously you've impacted others that are part of your organizations. So what advice do you have for people who are considering changing careers possibly that need to learn new skills?
So I see the hesitation in Michelle. So just so that we don't have white noise while, people out there are crafting their questions, I'll just go ahead and jump in a little bit about my story. I started in my career in retail banking while I put myself, through school, move into the commercial bank when I didn't know underwriting. So I taught myself credit and risk, etc., and then certified it through workshops, classes, certification. And then who would have thought that I would then move to go lead in youth workforce development? Like, what did I even know about it? And then now I'm the CEO, President and CEO of a national association. Who would have thought, right? And so here's what I would, I don't give advice, because I'm always really, really clear that advice and opinions are as unique as there are people on this planet. What I try to do is share a bit of my story, not from the spirit of look at what I did, but rather to say that as human beings, we are storytellers. And when we hear stories, we may say, oh, that resonates with me or that doesn't. So from that perspective, I just shared a bit of my own professional story. And what I would encourage people to do is to think about, what do you have to lose for trying something else? What's the worst thing that can happen? Now, my very best friend in the world is a physician. When she makes a mistake, somebody dies. So I want to make sure I'm clear. So I'm not talking about those kinds of like hard skills that are required to achieve certain things. I'm simply naming that, you know, when a doctor makes a mistake, somebody loses their life or somebody becomes paralyzed. Those are life changing. Nor do I want to minimize the fact that there is a really intricate fear that if I don't do well in this job and I lose my job, then my livelihood, and I'm very intentional in saying this, your life does not come to a screeching halt, but your livelihood may be impacted. So imagine or wonder, as you are thinking about trying something different, maybe you learn to plan and plan on a 6-month nest egg that you say, I'm going to start thinking about this. I'm going to plan financially to mitigate my risk. And then I'll go try something. And if it doesn't work, at least I have time to rebound without necessarily affecting my family. And you will find, I think, that you know a lot more that you give yourself credit for. And from a philosophical standpoint, what I've come to learn is that life would never bring you an opportunity if you were not ready for it. But the choice to actually grab that opportunity and go with it and trust that yes, you can, and yes, you will, is within your power. And just, as Michelle said, just do it. I would say just go.
Yeah. I almost was just going to say, Michelle, I bet you your advice is just do it.
I mean, it really is just do it. But we spoke a lot earlier about the word curiosity, right? I believe things happen in our lives for a reason and there's signs. And we really have to learn to manifest more, you know? So take the opportunity to manifest, you know, think about the world that we live in. Think about what has changed, right, in our world today. You know, for me, for example, I went back for my master's after 17 years. Of course, learning is not the same. And, you know, I'll use DeVry as the example. DeVry does it right because they understand that adult learning or going for an MBA or whatever the type of degree that you're going for, but they understand and they have niched strategic programming that really fits lifetime learning for working adults, right? We may say, I have children, I have a family, I don't have time. Who wants to study? Who wants to learn? Who wants to do all of this? But you would be surprised on the programs that are available that fit our lifestyles today. And really what has made it work for me is that DeVry has offered the foundational opportunities to make it work for our own lifestyles. And that's what's, you know, goes back to the beauty of digital, right? You can take, for example, a course at DeVry. You know, yes, you have to respond to discussion, you know, by Wednesday. But again, you have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday before midnight to figure it out, to time manage it into your schedule. You know, learning is so different now. It's really more about the experience that fits into each other's lifestyles. And like I said, things that I did for my bachelor's degree are not the same. Projects that I had to do, I remember I had to put together an iMovie, you know, for one of my nonverbal communication courses, right? Back, you know, back then for my communication studies degree, we're not doing things like that now. And universities like DeVry are acknowledging that they're providing those opportunities that fit into our lifestyles. And look, when we want to do something, we find the time. We make it work. And, you know, like Guylaine had said, it's about trying. You know, what's great about DeVry is you can take a course, and if it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'll share a quick story. I had a member of the chamber who, you know, was older in her age, and she's like, I really, want to learn about project management. She's like, but I feel like I don't have the time. And I said, you'll make it work. If you're curious, take that curiosity, manifest it, and what can go wrong, right? Like Guylaine had said earlier, at least you try, but at least you're not wondering, gee, what would have happened. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But it also helps us to build the brand that we have amongst ourselves to continue to growing professionally and being the best version of ourselves. So manifest the curiosity and just do it.
Yeah, thank you for that, Michelle. And I think it just dovetails right into the next question that I had for both of you is there are always opportunities to learn something new. And we hear often from others that they don't have the time, they might be too old to learn something new, excuse after excuse after excuse. And I don't want to, make those unvalid. In some cases, there truly are reasons why they just can't. Yeah. But I want to hear from each of you. What advice, and Guylaine, I heard you don't love to give advice, but what would you give to them? What kind of feedback would you give to them for those who say they have a million reasons why they can't learn? How can we give them the advice that they truly can do it?
Michelle, why don't you go ahead and start this time?
Yeah, I mean, I think I pretty much answered the question in my previous is, it's all about time management. We have to take Johnny to soccer practice, but, Josephine has to go to dance. And so we figure it out. And if you have a team, whether it's your family, your spouse, your significant other that believes in you, and you have a fan club, those that truly love and care about you will help you to make it work. It's really all about time management. And like I said, a lot of these different programs, that are available out there, or different types of certificates, most of them are online. And, we've already learned to live a digital world, and the opportunities that are there and the resources. Use DeVry as an example. There's something such as online tutoring. I mean, when I was having, I'm not the best in math, and maybe Guylaine, you can help me out for my corporate finance course. I might need you for tutoring, but you can gain a tutor at 2:00 in the morning if you need to, because you know what? For me, that's what worked with my schedule. So it's really about, time management and really seeing where you can implement everything where it needs to be in your schedule. And if it doesn't, you'll figure it out a way, but you have to start somewhere.
So let me amplify a bit of what I think I'm hearing Michelle say. And I think in our vernacular, we talk about what we feel and we think about what we think. And what I have as in my own growth and in my own learning, I've begun to start to talk about the things that I believe. Because I think at the crux of it, I've come to evolve to realize or to experience in my life that what I think and what I feel are born of what I believe. Many, much more smarter people and much more educated people than I am, talk about the power of the subconscious mind. Why do I say this? If you believe you don't have enough time, you don't have enough time. I don't know any other way to say it, right? If you believe you don't have enough time, then you don't have enough time. But if you believe that you matter and that your voice and your impact and your imprint in this world matters, and that in order for you to shine of your brightest light, you've got to continue to learn and evolve and experience new things, then if you believe that, it's magical the way that you're thinking and you're feeling aligned to that. And indeed, like how you master time, right? You are not, I think a lot of time we talk about time management, But the reality of it, let's be real, and I do it too, is that I find that my calendar manages me as opposed to me managing my calendar. And this year, I've decided that I am managing my calendar. But here's the hard piece, everybody. That means I'm saying no to a lot of things.
And it's okay to say no.
I'm saying no to a lot of things. I don't even know if it's okay to say no, or I haven't even delved into that, Michelle. All I'm saying is I'm owning that I'm saying no to a lot of things. No, I will not be in that meeting. No, this is not the level of thinking that I expect. No, I am not going to take that project. No, fill in the blank. Because then what it does, it's give me the opportunity to say yes to the things that I really want to do. I will share, because we are with a bunch of kick-ass women and kick-ass men, that I am still chasing the imposter syndrome that brings me guilt that says, I can't believe you said no to such and such, or I can't believe you said you can't meet with this person for another 30 days. Because responsiveness is natural to me, right? Because I want people to know that I care and they matter to me. I want to be highly responsive. It's hard. I'm learning into this. And so I'm starting from a place of I'm not even going to think about how I feel about all of the imposter syndrome and so on, that I'm just going to focus on developing this new muscle that says I'm going to say no to a lot of different things, not for the sake of saying no, rather for me to have the opportunity to say yes to the things that best align, and to the beautiful word that Michelle has been using to giving me the space and time to make manifest my highest level of myself. Not just the best version of myself, but the highest level and the highest best self that I can bring into this world. And I don't know how to do that, particularly as a CEO, if I'm not taking time to think, to read, to reflect, to learn, to learn, to learn, to learn.
Thank you, Guylaine. I have one more question before we jump into some of the really great questions we've already received from the audience. And this one is just a fun one. I want to hear about what book you guys are currently reading. Tell me about it and tell the audience about it.
Well, we've used a lot of words that we love and that we're putting out intentionally, but I am, believe it or not, people think, how do you have time to read a book when you have studies and you're adjuncting and you're running the chamber and learning about all these wonderful things? But you know what? It is important for me to stay connected and motivate myself. We are our own biggest fans, and I'm all about being transformational and being unstoppable, right? I love it. I love it. So I will share that I am currently reading You Are a Badass Every Day. Not just a badass, but every day. And so it's a great book that I'm reading. It's light. It's more motivational than anything, but it helps me to begin and manifest positivity throughout the day. And so I read a blurb or a chapter every morning as I'm getting ready to start my day, and I absolutely love it.
Perfect.
So I am really, really clear at aligning my intention with the things that I do. And I am a big fan of Black women who are authors and are brave and courageous to write the things that they're writing. And so I just finished She Would Be King, who's written by a African woman. I'm not going to try to remember her name or to say her name right now, but I would encourage you to read it. It's really good. Fiction, mysticism, and historical context. I really enjoyed every piece of it. And then now I'm also reading one of the, I think I'm so proud that a Black woman in her second book has made the Times Best 10 Books of 2021, which is How Beautiful We Were, which talks about, it takes place in a village in Africa over decades, and this tribe is trying to fight imperialism through the drilling of energy, around their village and the impact. Beautifully written book. And so that's what I'm up to these days. I mean, I savored She Would Be King. First of all, I love the title. I love that she could be a king. I mean, so yeah. let's just start with that she could be a king, not a queen, not anything else, but a king. And then now, how really beautiful, we are, all of us together. So.
Oh, I love them both, man. And if she can be a king, she is a badass, right, Michelle?
That's right. We're starting a new book and we don't even know it.
Yeah, you got it. So let me turn to the audience because we have some great questions from them and they really have resonated. The conversation has really resonated with them. The first question comes from Marie, who asked, how can you find your purpose? Whoever'd like to take that one.
Well, something I tell my students all the time is get involved. You have to get involved and be present. And, if you're curious about a new hobby, a project, a program, a new application on your phone, anything, you have to get involved. You have to understand and really figure it out as far as just get involved, do things. And you don't have to wait for people to do things, just do it. You don't need an entourage. You'll meet people, whether it's, getting a new hobby or whatnot. I mean, YouTube is just a different world now. You can learn how to sew. You can learn how to make egg salad, for example, by watching, a video or so. So definitely get involved and learn new experiences through getting involved.
So for me, I'm going to stay really quickly as I'm a lover of silence. And what I find is that the purpose continues to evolve and to take multiple shapes and forms. And so I ask people to get really comfortable being by themselves with their thoughts and to journal. And a practice that I want, Scarlett, that you talked about that I really encourage to amplify is do vision boards. Or, one thing I do is every year I sit in silence and I open up my heart in myself and I listen to what life is asking me to think about a word that I need to practice. I've been practicing gratitude for many, many years. And so I've decided not to let that go because it keeps coming. And every year a new one comes. Last year it was about grace. This year is about dignity. And so I uncover things and slowly but surely in the silence, changing my perspective on what is mine to do to what does life needs from me to be better for all. It continues to evolve. And so learn to be quiet and to be with yourself and to listen to what's happening inside of you.
Yeah, and I appreciate both of your responses. Let me just add to this one because it really is one that resonates with me really well. When you're thinking about how do I find my purpose, it is definitely about getting engaged, getting involved, doing as much as you can, but being okay with failure, that there will be things that you will do that you will not be good at, and that's part of the learning process, and that's okay. And in some cases, you kind of put that up as a point on the board to know, okay, that's not it. I need to move on to the next thing. But if you don't put yourself out there, you never get to that learning. So I just wanted to add that into the discussion for this group. I have another question from Dave, and thank you for this question. This one was about saying no, where you have to say no. How do you know when saying no to something may have a long-term impact on your future? So how do you know when to say no and when maybe that might be a risk to your future?
So great question, Dave, and thank you for asking it. And it starts again with your purpose. I think a lot of time we talk about goals. What are my goals for this year? I've pivoted to start to think about what is the impact that I most desire to have this year, and what are the outcomes that I'm most interested in driving for or towards or onward for this year. And once I'm clearly aligned with these things, then I really ask myself, I think we talk a lot about the what. When I was at Capital One, I learned a lot about the how. Like I am not a person that the end justifies the mean. right? I mean, truth matters to me. Kindness matters to me. Respect matters to me. And so to think about how is it that I want to drive this impact or the outcomes, etc. And then I become, or at least I'm continuing to learn to be laser focused on focusing on these activities, behaviors, opportunities that align best with that. And then the rest is just noise and distraction. And that's what I say no to. Michelle, I don't know if you are.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly add, because I know there's some other questions, is when you finally say no, you feel a brick off your shoulders. And you have to learn to say no, and not with, no, I'm sorry, but take out that, but I'm sorry, but, because it doesn't validate your no. And you will see how quickly people will respect you, like you said, right? And your time and your efforts and just who you are.
So I'll add just one little quick quote from a woman that I have been a long-term fan of, and it's Maya Angelou. And I've learned a lot from listening to her talk, to reading her books, etc. And I've taken this with her when I was learning about grace last year, is I'm able to say, that does not work for me. And so it is not that this doesn't work, it's that it doesn't work for me. And I'm the owner of, and I don't have to justify what my no is that I can say, I really appreciate the opportunity and I am not available. Or I really appreciate this opportunity and that timeline or that schedule does not work for me. In owning this. And what I have found is that it resounds with respect, with grace, and if the people who really respect you, Dave, would be okay to be able to say, okay, it doesn't work for you.
Yeah, I think we have time for just one more question, and I think we have a great one here from one of our viewers out there who asked the question around her current trajectory in her career. She's earning her degree, or bachelor's degree in business intelligence and analytics. She's currently an account coordinator and not happy at her current employer. And so she is ready to start searching for a new job, but she's conflicted because she's unsure of what exactly she wants to do. Do you guys have any advice for her?
What about the job you're in that you really enjoy doing? And what is it that you don't enjoy doing? And once you're clear on that, look for jobs that have a lot more of the things you enjoy doing versus the things that you don't. Michelle?
Yeah, advice I can give is take the opportunity to do internships. You know, that's when you really learn and really can reside and say, is this really something that I want to do? Do internships, whether they're unpaid, whether they're virtual. Find internships that are, you know, within, you know, that industry. And you know what? If your current, right, employer knows you're completing your, you know, your bachelor's, it's not an excuse, it's a given. You got to do some internships, right? So I think you could use that excuse and really, you know, delve into, you know, other means of doing, you know, things extracurriculum to really define if that's what you want to do.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Guylaine. Both of you have been fantastic, badass women today with fantastic advice and experiences that I hope that this listening group have really found helpful as they think about lifetime learning. So no matter if you're looking for, you know, value at your work, to pursue new employment, you're looking to learn a new hobby or to enhance your soft skills, there are so many educational solutions out there that can help you to get there. Again, thank you and have a great and happy new year. And here's to a year of lifelong learning. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.